Welcome to Tuesday's video. So this is the weekly update video. Uh, if you don't know who I am, I'm Tyler. I am just trying to improve my life, and while I'm doing that, while I'm improving my life, I like to document my life. I like to journal down. These are like video journals. And so every Tuesday I do a video journal of what's happening in my life, what's going on and everything. And so that's what happens. And so I'm just a man trying to improve their life, improve my life. And so I do that to partly to journal my life, but also to motivate you guys, but also motivate myself. I know if I'm going to be putting out a video every Tuesday of what I'm doing, I got to actually be doing stuff. I have to do the things I say I will. And so that's the reality. That's why I make these videos. And so you can watch other videos for why I made this channel, but let's get into it. So this is the weekly update videos. I make at least 2 videos per week. Tuesday is always the weekly update, and then Thursday is the rant about a subject, or I talk about a problem I solved in my life, how I solved it. Okay, but today is a Tuesday, so we're doing it on the weekly update. And so that's what we're doing it on. And so let's get into it. What has been happening? Well, I guess if you can take one thing from this week, I guess I would say the best sentence is the chaos in my life right now is slowly going away, or it's beginning to go away. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you don't know, I moved away. I moved out of my parents. I lived with my parents for about 2.5 years. I moved out and I moved from Navarre, Florida, which is right by Pensacola, Florida, and it's a small town of like 50,000 people. Um, and it's about 30 minutes away from Pensacola, which is a well-known city in Florida. So you probably know where it is. Just to give you a general estimate, you can look up the place. I lived in Navarre, Florida, and I moved all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina. So the city of Charlotte in North Carolina. It's like a 9 hour drive, 8 or 9 hour drive. I had no one. I had no friends, no connections, no job, no place to rent. I just moved up there and I had 3 days at a hotel that I had set up, when I would get there. And so I had 3 days at a hotel. And then after that, I was let loose and everything. And I had paid for that myself anyway, like a week before. And so I started out from nothing. And so my life was in chaos, you could say, because every week I was losing money off my credit cards, because that's what I usually put all my expenses on. And then I pay them off, once a month or every couple of months, whatever it is. And so my life was in chaos. And I found a place, an Airbnb, that would let me rent till the end of October, till November 1st. And so with that time, I've been scoping out the area a little bit, not much, but just a little bit. I've been trying to eat at different places. I have sent out applications, and uh, I've been looking for places to rent at. And so, that's why I said, so my life is still kind of in chaos, but there is an update on that. Walmart accepted me for a job. And so today is my orientation at 4 o'clock. I still have a couple more hours, but today is my orientation at 4 p.m. And so I have that, and that'll be paying like $15 an hour, I think. So I have that. So after applying for a couple different supermarkets, I have a job at Walmart, and I'm going to the orientation today. And then also I have a interview at Publix tomorrow for a job, whether they hire me or not, whatever, it's just an interview. Walmart decided to just hire me straight away. They didn't even do any interview. They just hired me. They said, "Here's your orientation date. Come here. Gotta put in your I-9 form," which is like that tells them that you can work there. So, your identification that says you can work in the USA and you have an actual identity. Uh, so I had to fill out all that stuff, had to put in my direct deposit, get my badge number or my badge name and my badge vest size. So today I'm going to be my first day, and I know orientation is paid. From what I know, orientation's paid. And so I have the job, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be one of those personal shoppers for online orders. So I'm going to be going around the store, grabbing people's groceries or whatever, but also I am also going to be one of the people who sometimes takes out the cards to people's cars when you park in one of the lanes that's for online orders, and then you put in the order and say, I'm here, I'm in spot whatever, spot 5, 6, 20, whatever, how big the store is. And then someone rolls out the cart with all your groceries, the blue cart with all your groceries. I'm going to be doing that too. And so that's the thing. And the good thing is that's one of my, um, top two jobs if I had to work at a supermarket would be the online stuff or the stocking stuff. I don't like being a cashier because I was a cashier for a couple months at Walmart and then I quit to go to college. My first college I was at UCF. However, at the time, I didn't like socializing or any of that stuff, so I didn't like talking to people. That was part of it. Another part I didn't like it, and this is the main part, that's why I didn't try to do anything at a cashier at Whataburger. I was always in the back. It's because I don't like having to handle all the money and then worrying like, do I have the right amount of money in it? Am I short, or do I have too much money, or did I take a counterfeit bill or something like that? Because that did happen to me whenever I worked at the Walmart for cashier when I took someone's counterfeit bill and I thought was real, whatever, and I used it, whatever. And so they got on to me about that. But that's another story. I could go a whole story onto that. However, so I got hired for that. So that's giving me a little bit of financial security, okay? And so that's like the big event of the day. And so I don't know what scheduling they're gonna put me at, or is it gonna be morning or midday shift? I don't know if it's going to be full, part-time, temporary, or whatever. I just applied for the job and I'm going to work as hard as possible to keep that job. And I applied for it and I got it. I didn't do the night shifts because I know I could have put my availability at any time, but I didn't want to do night shifts because that's sacrificing my health for money. And the problem is I'm not getting paid a ton more extra for that night shift. I could go work at another supermarket and get paid the same, or a fast food and get paid a couple dollars less, or the same amount, because I'm making the same amount I made at Whataburger. Because at Whataburger I was making 15 an hour, uh, and so that's the thing. So I don't know what type of schedule they are. I'm hoping it'll be full time. If not, I always put those Tuesday and Thursday days because specifically I can get a second job. So if they make me work part time, I can get a second job. So if they only make me work 3 days a week, I can get 2 days, Tuesday and Thursdays at as like a regular job at fast food, at another supermarket, whatever it is. And even if they give me full time 5 days a week, I will still get a second job. And the reason I'm doing that is specifically I need the money for an apartment. And so I've $15 an hour isn't enough for my own apartment unless I go maybe for my own. I just have my own bedroom and I share a kitchen and I share um, a bathroom. But I don't like doing that because I've done that before and I don't like doing that. And I like having my own. I want to have my own space for once where I have my own privacy, I have my own kitchen, and I'm in responsible for all of it. It'll make the videos better because I don't have to do them in my car, and I can set stuff up and everything. And so I think it's an investment. And so no matter what, it all depends. If they only give me part time and I get a second job anyway, I might not go for the studio apartment because the problem with that is I got to work more than 40 hours a week to, to make money, to pay for the apartment, also pay for my debts because I do have some credit card debt and I finance my education, my college degree, my online college degree that I transferred to. I financed it and it was like $4,000 for tuition. I financed it through my credit card that I had gotten and it's 12 months free interest. So by the end of like June or July, I have to start paying interest. So I want to pay that off before the interest comes, the credit card debt comes, because then it's going to be really hard to pay it off. And so I could do the 12 months in a one bedroom apartment or whatever and save up enough money. And even if I don't get a full time Walmart job, I can pay that all off. However, it all depends, you see, because I will get my college degree by the end of the year in accounting. That's what I'm going for is my accounting degree at Western Governors University, and I'll have it by the end of the year. And if I can get a job in accounting and then move my Whataburger job to the weekends, that will be making like I'll be making like 3, 4K a month. Okay. And that'll be enough to cover all of my expenses and also enough money that I can pay off all my debts in a couple months. And so, that's all that decision is coming around because I still have to make that decision. And I only have till the end of October to sign a lease and everything. And so I have to make that decision on, do I want a place, a studio apartment, or do I have my own bedroom apartment? I'm leaning more to the studio apartment, especially since one of the apartments I checked out looks really nice, and it's like 1,300 a month without all the expenses of like water and electricity and internet and all that stuff, but just coming out like 1,300, 1,400. And so I can do that. And they have a deal where you get the first 2.5 months free of rent if you do a 12-month or longer lease. And my mom's only going to do a 12-month lease because that's the max she'll do because she has to co-sign because I'm not making enough money right now to cover it. But if I do have that accounting job plus the Walmart, or if I'm working two jobs, I should be able to cover it. And so that's the thing is I have to wait. So this orientation, I got to ask about hours and all that stuff and like how I'm going to get my schedule. And I hope they explain it really well. I hope they don't just 30 minutes were gone. I need that because I didn't have an interview. So it's not like I got to ask my interviewer all these questions. I didn't get that. And so, but yeah, I have a Publix interview on uh, Wednesday, so tomorrow. Hopefully I don't have to reschedule it because if I'm working tomorrow and I can't make it to that one, I want to reschedule it. And even if I don't get that job, I want to use it as experience for an interview. And so I'll interview or whatever. And at the end, I will tell them like I can only work 2 days a week. And usually Public starts you out at part time, and so that's for the best if I do part time 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, and they pay pretty well, and so that would be allowable, but I don't know if they're going to go for it because originally my schedule was like my Walmart. When I applied to all these supermarkets, it was only all of my schedules were the same, which was I could work all the days except for Tuesday and Thursday till like 10 p.m. or something like that, or a little bit less than 10 p.m. And I tried to do that, and so they might allow it. I don't know. But, if I don't get the job, I'll just use it as experience for it. And I know I'm probably going to waste the interviewer's time by doing that stuff, but I really wanted, to use this as experience. And so I'll, and once they get to know me, maybe they'll be okay with it. It's not like I'm coming in and then right first thing I say is I can only work Tuesday and Thursday. Is that okay? At that time, I'm just like a nobody. But if I interview them, talk to them for like 30 minutes, then, and they get to like me, they get to know me and they like me and they want to hire me, then they might allow it. And so I'm going to be doing that. I haven't got anything but from the other supermarkets like Costco or any of that stuff. And so I've stopped applying for jobs because I got the Walmart job a couple days ago and I got the offer and everything. And so I haven't applied for any more jobs because I want to make sure, you know, when I apply for the job, my schedule is right. Okay. And so even if no other supermarket lets me work just 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, then I'll just get a fast food job working 2 days a week. They probably need the people. Most places need, for fast food, they're always losing people. Um, and I have 2 years of experience plus the other like pretty much 6 months to a year I did at McDonald's from my first job, whatever. So I think I have the experience for it. And so, but yeah, that's like the first thing. So I'm starting to get some financial security. And I was gonna do without having a job and just work on a business for a couple months and hope that made a profit and everything. However, that's hard to do, and my money will run out eventually. I don't have, a year's worth of money saved up. I maybe have a couple months. And so I have to have a job. And that was one of the requirements for my mom to co-sign too. So I have the Walmart job and I'll have the second job. What does that mean though? That means I'm going to be on my season of grind because I'm going to be working 5 to 7 days a week, depending on if Walmart gives me full-time or part-time. I'm going to be working 7 days a week, or 5 days a week. And then also I gotta do other stuff after work. So it's not like I'm just going to go work exhausted, come home and do nothing. No, I got to do work afterwards. Or if they give me a later shift, like at 11 or 12, then I have to wake up early and do work. So it all depends. But, either before or after, I'm going to be doing homework. I'm going to be doing work. I'm going to be doing college work, or I'm going to be doing stuff to chase my dreams, doing some YouTube video stuff, or maybe some writing or creating of some type, whatever medium I use, video games, movies, um, video games, whichever one. It's probably not going to be movies. Definitely not movies. I don't have the budget for movies or any of that stuff. But like, unless AI gets really good. But however, that's the thing is, so I'm going to be doing some type of medium of creation, whether it's like painting or draw, whatever it is. And so I got to do that. Plus, I'm going to be doing my college stuff. And then also, I usually like to dedicate 30 minutes to an hour to some type of knowledge work, reading about a problem I have in my life and how to solve it, or how to get better at whatever thing I'm doing. So, better at studying or better at whatever. And once I have the college degree, I'll have more time because I won't be spending an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours just doing college work. That'll be done. I'll have the bachelor's degree. I don't plan on going for the CPA, getting a master's, at least not for the first like year, 2 years. So that's the thing. That's my financial goal. So like I said, I'm on the season of grinding specifically. Once I get that job, once I've been working for a week and I have an actual schedule and I know what the schedule is like, plus I have my second job, then that will be the hard part. That like the easy part is to talk about it, but the hard part is having to put in all that work. So you guys are going to help me be more accountable. And so that's the main update for the video. And I've been in this Airbnb for like 2 weeks, a week. Um, it's not too bad. I would give it out of a 3 to 5 star. The problem is the location isn't great. We're by the airport, so for me it's okay to go to sleep. But I know for some people it's hard to go to sleep when there's airplanes flying at night, and you can pretty much hear it pretty loudly because we're right next to the airport. We're right above the airport in terms of directions. If you look at a map, we're in front of it, or not on top of it, on front, whatever. And so I'm very close to the airport. The Wi-Fi is okay. Roommates I've never had problems with any of the roommates or whatever. I'm still the only person. Two of my roommates have already left or whatever, and so now I have like two more roommates or whatever. I'm there to October. I do have some problems with like the parking and everything. If we're not parked directly on the driveway, if even our wheels slightly on the grass, the neighbor will complain. The problem with that neighbor is also they have kids, or like they have one or two kids, and they bring in all like the rest of the group as their kids. So there's like 10 kids playing by the house in between the house I live and the house next to us. And they play, and they have like a basketball thing they play in, but also they play football. The problem is they're playing right next to our cars and they're not careful, and so sometimes the ball will hit the cars or whatever. That happened to my car, where I came home and I was bringing in groceries and they hit my car with a football or whatever. Not hard. They're little kids. They can't throw that hard. And they didn't mean it. So I just was like, be more careful. Or can you guys go further back or over there on the road, or because there's barely any cars coming or whatever. Well, a couple hours later, the same kids were playing football. They had moved back by our cars or whatever. And this didn't happen to my car, thank God. But there was a car in front of mine who was a Mustang, orange Mustang or whatever. And one of the kids tackled the other kid into the car and like slammed him against the car. And I was like, can you not be more respectful? But our neighbors complain about, I'm not parked right on the driveway. My car's barely on the grass, and they're complaining about that. Or another thing they're complaining about is I had to get out and I was in front because it's a small driveway and there's four cars, okay? But the cars in front, there's the garage door, and then there's the car behind them, so they can't back up. So you have to like turn into the grass on the side and then come back on the road. Well, we're not specifically supposed to do that, and I got in trouble for doing that when I was in a rush because I didn't want to have to wait to get my roommates or whatever, or have text the Airbnb host to like text the roommate if they're not talking to me or they're in their room to move their car or whatever. And so I did that, and they complained, but I was like, but well, we have the same neighbor. The kids are always yelling and screaming, and you can hear it through the house. I guess that's another thing with the house I'm living in. The walls are very thin, and so like you can hear the kids yelling and screaming right next to the house. But yeah, so I would give the Airbnb And like whenever the guy called me, the landlord or whatever, the guy management property management guy called me when I went on the grass to get out of the parkway, and he was like, "What are you doing? Like you got to be a good neighbor or whatever. You know it's not in the rules." I was like, "There's no way else to get out of the parking lot." And I didn't even say this, but I was like, the asshole neighbors, the ones who like reported me for not being on the driveway or whatever, are fucking assholes. Like their kids are fucking yelling and screaming right next to the house, and like the whole other rest of the neighborhood is quiet except for them. And you don't see me complaining about it, or they mess with people's car where like they slammed another kid into the car or whatever. Thankfully, it wasn't mine or whatever, and there's no damage. But still, is that not being respectful? But yeah, that's the thing. I'm kind of happy that I'm eventually going to be moving out of that apartment. But yeah, I'm probably going to go in for the studio apartment, and I can get the first 2 months free because that's the deal they're doing. Like if you do a 12-month lease or longer, you get the first two lease. So if I do that, and with the job, the two jobs I'm working, that'll allow me to save up enough money that I can pay off probably all the expenses for coming down here, renting an Airbnb in a hotel for a month. I can pay that all off. Hopefully, that's what I think I can do in the 2 months of having two jobs. And so that's the goal. But like I said, it's the season of grind because it's not just going to work. I got to come home or I got to go before work. I got to start working on the things, start working on some type of art for whatever creation. That's what I think of it, creation. Whether it's YouTube videos or some way of expressing myself or like novels or writing or any of that stuff or video games. I have to start working on that. And there's a reason for that. But yeah, that's the main goal is that's kind of getting rid of the chaos in my life. And I have to make the decision. I've been to like the apartments. I have to make the decision on what type of apartment I want to rent, studio apartment or the one bedroom and have roommates. So whatever it is, I have to make that decision. So probably tonight when at 4 p.m. or whatever after orientation, I know how many hours I'm going to be making. I can then make that decision because I literally have like 10 days left, 9 more days left. And so I got to be really fast. I got to get my mom to co-sign, got to sign the lease, do all the paperwork, make sure everything's right, and get it through or whatever. And so I got to do that. That's just and so once that's done, all of my chaos, a lot of the chaos in my life will be done. I'll have to get some other stuff, to put in the apartment and everything. Probably cost me max $500 on everything I need. Um, but that's what I got to do. I got to and for the rest of the week, I've been, for workout stuff, for the weekly update workout stuff, I've just been doing push ups every day. The problem is I have a YMCA gym membership, but it's like just to get anywhere in the city, it takes like 30, 40 minutes. And so I don't want to have to drive down to the YMCA gym, drive back, and that add like an hour and a half of drive, maybe an hour's worth of driving every day for the gym. I need to find a closer gym or whatever. When I move, I'll be closer to a YMCA gym, and I might cancel that YMCA gym because I usually use that YMCA gym just as a backup. So if I ever need to take a shower or something, or if I'm homeless living out of my car, I have that as an option for a shower and like a place to work out. But I've been doing push-ups. There is one weird thing is my shirts have been getting shorter, and it's not because I've been growing taller. I don't think so. I'm past that age. What I think it is because I've built up my chest. So I now have chest muscles, at least a little bit, like not too much, but just a little bit. And my shirts are tighter because instead of my chest being completely flat, it's a little bit. It's like a hill, you could say. Um, and so my shirts are getting shorter on me, and that's like a good thing. You could say that's a good or bad thing. If it's too much, then I need new shirts because my shorts are too short. My shirts are too short. However, it's a good thing because I'm building muscle there. And that was like the goal to build muscle for my chest because my chest was completely flat. Um, and so that's the goal. I've been just building up that habit for push-ups. I haven't been really counting it and trying to add progress. I've just been trying to do the daily habit of doing push-ups at night when, I'm back in my apartment, at least before I go to sleep and everything. And so far, I'm on track to be doing push-ups pretty much every single day. Like I said, I'm not counting them or anything like that. And so that's for the workout stuff. When I have an actual apartment and, I can start working out more and I have a I have a basic schedule, okay? Because that's what the job will is to provide a basic schedule for my life. I'll know, okay, I'm working here. I got to wake up at a certain time. I got to do some work either before or after. And so I can do that instead of right now where I just have all this free time. Uh, and maybe I should learn more about being able to manage myself, but that's what it is. The job will help with that. And so plus I'll have more, like I said, I'll have more freedom and everything, and I'll have, more space and everything so I can do better videos, and I'll have more time for creative experiences and pursuits and everything. So that's just it. That's the main things for the video. My Airbnb experience, that's my first Airbnb experience by myself, because my mom and my whole family went on vacation for a little bit. Or we traveled to my brother's graduation for college or whatever, and so we stayed in an Airbnb for a little bit. So it's not like my first experience, but it's my first experience by myself doing the Airbnb and everything, and it's not bad. But like I said, I'd give it out of 3 out of 5 star for it and everything. And so, but yeah, that's my Airbnb experience. There's the job and everything. That's the big change in my life right now. But yeah, that's the direct reason. I'm starting to get some order in my life, and and everything. And so that's the great part. And okay, it's been 25 minutes. Okay, and so that's pretty much the majority of my week. And so I've been doing college classes. I've been doing a little bit of writing, um, and so that's it. And so now we're gonna go off I would say, the weekly update part. So if you just wanted to watch the weekly update part, that's the end. I don't really have anything else. No, that's it. I'll make another video on some of the experience I've had living here, but that's another video. This is just the weekly update. So at 26 minutes, we're gonna go on to the second part, and the second part is about the art stuff. Let's talk about that. Well, with the rise of AI and everything, but also with the inflation and everything, I don't think having a normal job will protect you much in the next 10, 20 years. And what do I mean by that? Well, with the job wages stagnating, at least in the USA. So job wages, so how much you're paid to do a job, has been stagnating for like the last 30 years. I could go into the reason why, but just know it's been stagnating while productivity has increased. And so with AI, productivity will increase, but that doesn't mean wages will increase. And so if we talk about AI and we even think AI is not going to replace everyone, so there's not going to be a lot of job loss, the problem with that is it will increase productivity. So you'll be expected to do more work, but you'll be paid the same amount or less, depending on your ideals or whatever. But it's not going to add anything for how much you're going to be making. Okay, because we know productivity does not scale with wages in the last 30 years for whatever reasons, politically, you can blame stuff or anything, whatever. Just know that wages have stayed the same. Well, the problem is with inflation, and we know the official inflation numbers have been lied. We've been lied to by the government because the government wants to keep inflation numbers low enough. They want to make the public perceive it as inflation's only like 3% a month or 3%, whatever it is. What you have to realize is those are inflation numbers that that data is messed with by governments. Because why? Because they don't want you to know the actual truth for inflation. You can look this stuff up on the actual inflation rates. There are a couple sites for it, but that's the data is skewed because it's in the best interest for the government to do so. And so the problem is that's why you start seeing all the new middle class, or the new middle class is 100K, or, if you make under 60K, you're in poverty level. And that's the average American is like 60K a year. And so that's what you have to realize. That's what you have to get to and that part of that, there's a different stuff. I recommend The Lords of Easy Finance. That's a book that's really interesting about one of the reasons why it's like that. And so wages are going to stagnate for the next 20, 30 years. And so what you got to realize is having a normal job isn't going to be ideal, because inflation is going to be so much that poverty rate's probably going to be 80K a year in the next 20, 30 years with the way the government's printing money and all this stuff. So 80K is going to be the same borrowing power as 50K is right now. And so the job is not going to be the way to the middle class. I wouldn't even say middle class, I mean upper middle class, to the real way of wealth. And so most people are going to be in serfdom, where they make enough money to have a small home and a car and everything to survive, but they're never going to be able to get ahead. They're never going to be able to save or anything like that. And that's a big portion of the US right now, but it's going to get even bigger. And so you're going to be under serfdom or whatever. And so that's the thing. So you have to there's two options for you. There's the business owner and there's the artistic path. And I'm going to be doing eventually both, but or you could do the hybrid of combining the two. What do you mean by the artistic path? That's like any type of creation, like the YouTube, the blogging, the writing novels, the video game development, all of that stuff, movies, being director. That's the art path. And I don't mean this like as a job. I mean you're doing art for yourself. So you're in charge of a developer team for a video game, or you're one person making a video game, whatever it is. Or maybe you're an author. You're not a job as a copy editor or a ghost writer or anything. I mean like this as not as a job, but you're trying to do this and you're doing everything for it. So maybe you're painting and then you're selling the paintings and everything, and you have your own social media about painting and you do art classes. This is the thing. So like you have the choice between artist or the business owner who provides value directly. So you make the spoons, you make this computer, you make this car, all that stuff for you provide some service, software service, whatever it is. And those are the only two ways to make an exponential amount of money and to become so you're upper middle class or you're in the elite levels, at least in American class structure, and money wise too, because most jobs cap out at like 100K 150K a year, like unless you climb up a corporate ladder to the top level, the CTO, executive assistants, and you're making like 250K a year, or more, $1 million a year. But how competitive is that? Because more and more people are going to be going that way because they think the climbing the corporate ladder is easier than starting your own business, and it's less risky than or doing the artist path, whichever way. And so that's the option. And so that's the main reason I've started this YouTube channel too. That's another reason, not the main reason. Another reason I've started this YouTube channel, and that's why I'm trying to do some creative work, because ultimately those are going to be the ones that provide me financial stability 30 years from now and allow me to have kids and not have to have the state support my kids because I don't have enough money, because that's with a lot of kids nowadays, because having children's really expensive, with daycare costs and going to school and everything. And so that's the goal. That's why I've made this channel, and that's why I'm doing these creative acts or whatever. And so that's the thing. And now the problem is I was doing some writing, and I'm still going to be doing writing, but I have to, or more specifically, I want to do some type of storytelling. And so painting is pretty much out of the picture. However, I want to do some storytelling, but writing, which is the medium I know best, which was the one that's what I always read or whatever. The problem with writing is it's dying as a medium. It's like the newspaper business. If you read the New York Times article or whatever, most New York Times best-selling books don't sell more than 10,000 copies, or even way less than that. Maybe like they only sell 1,000 copies. And that's for the bestsellers. What about the books that aren't bestsellers? And so that's why the average wage for an author is like $7,000. Now, of course, if you're very good at it and you do it for a long time, maybe you can make a lot of money, but that's if the odds are not in your favor, at least. It's like the newspaper industry. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think it's because our shorter attention spans, but also I think the newer generations, at least Gen Z and below, and even millennials, they have grown up with technology and everything, and you've grown up with movies and everything. And so movies are a more immersive experience. They're easier to be immersed in compared to books. And video games take this to extreme where you kind of insert yourself in the character and you get to make choices that change the narrative or that change how the game is played. And so you become more immersed in it than like a story, or a written book or even a movie. And so that's why I think eventually books, but also movies are going to be removed from entertainment, or they're going to be like black and white entertainment sources. So they won't be as popular and they'll be niche, things like the black and white movies and stuff like that. And so I think that's a transition that is starting to happen. And that's why you see movies will start to do like that too. That's why there's the new thing with AI movies where you can kind of interact with the movies. And that's what the ultimate goal with AI movies is you're not just an audience, you're part of the movie. And so I think, that's hard to do with writing. Unless you make like a game, a video game where you can like listen to the story and then you make choices or whatever. But would you consider that a video game or would you consider that a novel? I consider that a video game. And so I think the video game genre is supposed to increase exponentially because you got to realize that is with entertainment's always going to be around because you got to numb yourself to the world. Like that's how I said, the real world is full of suffering, and even if you're like me who thinks that suffering is good, it's hard. You got to have some type of entertainment, you know, or you have to have something bigger for yourself. But the entertainment, that's why people drew paintings of Christ and everything, and had it as a religious stuff. You can use it as a religious figure or whatever. But it's the same thing. Just to deal with the outside world, we have to have some type of entertainment, and we have to tell stories. That's just a natural part of us. And so that's why I think the writing, the novels won't go away, but they'll become more and more niche. While and I think movies will also start to go away, even with the added AI stuff, and you can kind of interact with a movie. They're not suited for you know immersing the person into the movie as much as video games. I think video games are going to take off more and more. And of course, this is all before VR, virtual reality games come out that are very good, that are highly immersive, almost reality like. That's why there's the full dive VR. That's why you have Sword Art Online and all that stuff and everything. Once that happens, that's the end game where video games will probably take up majority of entertainment space. And with most people falling into serfdom, I would call it, because that's what it is, at least in the US, where you make enough money to survive, but you can never own anything because you can't, or you have to slave away with 4 jobs just to save up some money for a home for 20 years. That's what I mean by serfdom. And that's horrible conditions to live by, but most people are going to do it, and they're going to have to numb themselves to the world and the horrible conditions. And what are they going to use? They're going to use entertainment. Nothing wrong with that. That's how humans have done for thousands of years. When you were a slave to a king or whatever, and your life sucked or whatever, and your family told you a story about something or whatever to entertain you for a couple hours. It's the same thing for bad or worse. I use numb, but I don't mean that in a bad way. Just numb. Numb yourself. Okay, it is 12:35. And so that is what the thing. I think eventually it'll be full VR, but like writing is going to be dead as a medium. It's going to be like newspapers. And like I said, and as the younger generations grow up and the older generations die, I eventually think reading is eventually going to get worse and worse until it dies or whatever. Now we'll have like blog posts and everything and all that, but like more and more people are getting their news, their information, their views and everything from YouTube. So videos might take over that so most people get information from YouTube instead of blogging in the next 20 years or 20 years from now. And so I think the written form is going to be more niche or whatever niche, which means you can't make a living from it, but it's going to be a lot harder. And, it's way going to be harder, and it's going to be up to luck, and it's going to be a lot harder. Like I said, it's just you can do it because there's going to be 7 million billion people connected to the internet, but it's going to be a lot harder. And so I think that's why I think VR is eventually the end game, but that's still going to take another 30 years for the full dive VR. Um, and so I think in the transition, it's going to be video games that are like, you know, you can control the mouse with your mind or stuff like that on a computer, and you have video games that do that. We already know Neuralink, the Neuralink guy who the first experimenter or whatever, he got it put in his brain, he could control the mouse with his mind, and it was like he had aimbot and everything in RPS shooters. And so that's already provable. And there are already AIs that can read minds, not very well, but read human minds, okay. But we think eventually the endpoint with that is you put on a headset that can read your mind signals on how you move your hands and everything, and that's how you control the character on the computer. The hard part is having the sensory inputs back into your brain. So kind of make the illusion that you're in another place. Like you smell something different than the real world, you see something different, and that has horrible implications for society and everything, and the worst use cases for it. But I'm just saying that is the end game. But in the future, but I think video games, VR, are going to be the medium of choice for entertainment. And so that adds the question is, do I continue with writing or do I continue trying to do video games? And that's a decision I have to make. Uh, with the video games, I probably wouldn't make full VR, full video games, because to do that, to have good 3D graphics, to have everything right, voice acting, all that stuff, with AI, you can cut it down, but there's no way I can do it with one person. Or if I make a game and it's a really good game, it'll probably take me 10 years to make. So I'll probably if I do video games, I'll do like a virtual novel. And what those are is it's basically like a text-based video game. And there's not really a lot of combat or gameplay mechanics. You're just reading a story with dialogue, and then you also have like an image that changes. And so you have that. I would just, if you don't know, you can look up visual novels and see what they're about and everything, but I would do that. They're more narrative based than like regular video games. The closest one to like modern day, I would say, would be like Persona 5, which was a really big success. If you ever played Persona 5, that has parts of a visual novel. It's like a visual novel game combined with an RPG, with the Persona system or whatever. But the relationship thing with the day and night changes and all that stuff, that's all a visual novel. It's a visual novel system. However, the Persona part of it is the RPG, and there are other mechanics and everything. But just know that's the closest if you've ever played Persona 5. But you can also see other visual novels. But visual novels are pretty easy to create. They don't need a lot of work. They're harder than making a novel, of course, but it's a lot easier. And I can do like separate dialogue options or whatever and have different storylines and everything. Because you want to take advantage of the medium while you have it. And so that would be really cool. But I'm, that's just me talking. I might do some writing for a little bit, whatever it is. This is just the long-term goal, 10 years from now. I also want to talk about something that inspired me. There is a company, and they haven't released any papers yet, but they're pretty credible because they've already released other stuff about lucid dreaming and stuff like that. They were able to communicate Two people were able to communicate in a dream while they were lucid dreaming, which means they were controlling their dreams while they were asleep. They were able to communicate. Not very well, but they were able to communicate. And there's a article on that I saw, and I saw a video on YouTube that was talking about that, which was really interesting. I guess the algorithm picked up that I read the article, whatever, but it was really interesting, and I think that's a way to VR. If you can have multiplayer lucid dreams and you can control someone's dreams, subconscious dreams or whatever, you can control that. You could create a full dive VR experience because people feel stuff in dreams. And so that's just the thing to come up with. But that was an interesting article I read that I wanted to talk about. But that's just the end of that part of the rant. So yeah, that's why I'm considering visual novels. Start with that, because I don't have all the art experience, the 3D rendering experience, music and acting and voice and all that, the sound experience to make a full game, a game or whatever. And it would take me years because I'm just one person. Like, you just think studios take 1-2 years to create a game and they have like 100 people. I'm just one person. If you look at a lot of solo developers, it takes them years for just one game, and thankfully that game blows up and they make a ton of money. But like, that's not an option for me, and it doesn't give you a lot of stuff to experiment. And so I would prefer to do something like a visual novel or whatever. And also I'm more focused on the story more than like gameplay mechanics. And so that's, I want to tell a story through a game. And so that's just the thing I've just been thinking about. And so yeah, you can always look up on Steam visual game novels or other things. Steam has problems with visual novels. because visual novels have a bad rep. I won't talk about why in this video or whatever. Maybe I'll make a video on that. But you can find visual novel games on other devices or whatever, or you can look up YouTube different visual novels. Whatever it is, they have a bad rap because of one thing. However, like I said, maybe I do that. I don't know yet, but that was just a little rant of what I've been learning a little bit. Um, Sorry, the air is a little bit hot in here. Um, I've been reading about some different habits too. I've been at Barnes and Noble, so of course I got to read a book while I'm there or whatever, and it's free or whatever. They never get on to me about reading a book. And so I was reading a book on high performance habits or whatever. And I guess the one thing is for your job, one thing you can take out away from it is, whenever you have a job, just think while you're working, what's one moment today that I would talk about to my friend or to my son or daughter, my children or whatever. What would I say about this experiment? And you can do happy moments like someone smiled at you or someone talked to you for a little bit, some crazy moments, or maybe some moments where you were disappointed or you failed at a task, whatever. And whenever you get home from work, you write that down. And so that's like a good mindset to have for your job or whatever. I guess I've seen that or whatever. I want this job to be like I can have more friends because I have no friends right now because I moved to this place or whatever. But I want to have friends here locally, and so that job will let me. Hopefully I can find some friends through my Walmart job, but maybe through other activities. Once I'm more financially settled and I paid off all my debts, I can do stuff like I want to join a tennis team or go to a tennis club and take tennis classes. That I would love that. That would probably be the best sport I would like to do, or fencing, which is like sword fighting or whatever. That sounds cool or whatever, but like I said, I can't do that right now. Right now, it's the financial situation that's holding me back. But once I have all that stuff set up and everything, I can start switching that over. And so and maybe I can start dating, whatever, when I have everything set up and, I'm kind of financially free and set for a little bit. And so that's the goal. But, that's for a little bit. And so that's the end of the video. I always like to end the video like this. The thumbs up. I believe you can do it. Have a wadatastic day. I always use wadatastic because I'm from Whataburger, and that's we always say. Or have a fantastic day. Have a great day. I'll probably see you tomorrow or Thursday because tomorrow I might make a short 10-minute video on how my orientation at Walmart went. Or, Thursday I'll have my weekly rant, whatever you call it or anything. Who knows? We'll see. Um, Probably by Wednesday or Thursday, if I know how many hours I'm going to be getting from Walmart, I'll probably by that time start making the decision. I think I've already made the decision. I'm probably going to go there. Well, I'll make the decision and everything once I know if I'm working full time, part time for Whataburger or for Walmart. I always say Whataburger because they both start with a W. Walmart. And so we'll see how that goes and everything. But that's it for the video. It's been 47 minutes. Have a fantastic day. Wadatastic day. I believe in you. I always have the thumbs ups. Your goal, you should have what are the things that you enjoy in your life? What passion do you have in your life? And start documenting that while you're learning about that stuff. While you're doing it, start recording yourself because that's how you grow on social media. And eventually, if you have a big enough audience or or not even a big enough audience, an audience that likes you enough, they'll eventually start paying for content or whatever. If you give out so much stuff for free that your audience starts to want to pay for it or whatever, they want to help you, they want to support you financially so you can do more of the things you like. And so eventually, that's the artist path. And so I recommend any of that, or maybe you start your own business. Start trying to start your own business or preparing for it because 10 years from now, it's not going to be, you want to have all that set up so you don't have to worry. You don't want to be the serf. Unfortunately, you don't want to be the serf. Uh, and that's the way the economy and the way the world's going for. And so that's it for the video. But yeah, have a fantastic day. That's the action step. Put it in the comments. What's your passion or any of that stuff, or what are the things you're doing? More specifically, what are the action steps you're doing? And or did you complete a New Year's resolution? I came to here, and I realized that yesterday or today, I completed the New Year's resolution. My New Year's resolution was to move out, and I ended up doing it. Move out no matter what, and I ended up doing it. I could have stayed with my parents at the same job at Whataburger, whatever, but I did it. I finally did it, and so that's the end for the video. I'll see you tomorrow or Thursday. Tomorrow or Thursday. Have a fantastic day. I always do that. I can never end the videos, but that's it. I need to end the video. Thanks for watching to the end. If you watched it while you were doing chores or put it on, and you just listened to audio, whatever, have a fantastic day. So that's goodbye. I'll see you later. See you tomorrow or Thursday. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.